TV. Please keep watching
Rapid TV.
This is
Rapid TV.
Rapid TV.
Keep watching.
Keep it melted down.
Leave it like that.
Meet the men and women shaping the future of Nigeria. Get to know your representatives at the National Assembly. From lawmaking to constituency projects, we'll take you behind the scenes and inside the chambers of the Nigerian National Assembly. Learn about the bills they are championing, the challenges they are facing, and the impacts they are making in their constituencies. We'll also bring you closer to the people they are serving and the stories that shape their work. Join us on Nass Watch every Friday on Rapid Television at 7 p.m. So get informed, get engaged, and get to know the leaders shaping Nigeria's future.
Rapid TV, rooted in truth, driven by impact.
Good evening and welcome to Nass Watch, the program where we shine a spotlight on the activities of Nigeria's National Assembly. Each week, we examine the vital role our lawmakers play in shaping national policy, from bills and motions to the challenges they face and the expectations of the citizens they serve. I am Cynthia Agbo. Now, tonight we're taking a closer look at the key developments from the week. From the bickering between the senator representing the FCT and the FCT minister, to the House probe into Nelfon student loan operations, and a Senate motion on the rise of Ponzi schemes in Nigeria. But our big conversation tonight centers on the Kampala Convention Bill, which received concurrence in the Senate this Tuesday after much delay. Well, we'll take a quick break, but when we return, we'll dive right into the activities for today.
Meet the men and women shaping the future of Nigeria. Get to know your representatives at the National Assembly. From lawmaking to constituency projects, we'll take you behind the scenes and inside the chambers of the Nigerian National Assembly. Learn about the bills they are championing, the challenges they are facing, and the impacts they are making in their constituencies. We'll also bring you closer to the people they are serving and the stories that shape their work. Join us on Nass Watch every Friday on Rapid Television at 7 p.m. So get informed, get engaged, and get to know the leaders shaping Nigeria's future.
Rapid TV, rooted in truth, driven by impact.
All right, welcome back. It's the Nass Watch. It's been a busy week at the National Assembly. In the House of Representatives, several committees held deliberations on key national matters, while in the Senate, attention was focused on critical motions and bills. Now, this is the part where I say, let's now talk about some of the things that happened this week. This week was actually Nass week, and an opportunity, open week, people come, ask their questions. Lots of activities took place at the National Assembly. There was enough to eat and drink. That's on a lighter note. It was more of a fanfare, but at the Senate chambers, it was a busy one. Lots of bills, lots of motions, which of course is what gave rise to the concurrence on Tuesday of the Kampala bill. But I did mention earlier in my introduction about the bickering between the senator representing the FCT. Now, this is the part where someone like myself gets to ask a question. What exactly is Senator Ireti Kingibe really doing for the people of the FCT? But we don't get to see how much, in the House, supporting bills or motions or raising bills or one or two developmental things. We don't really get to see how much. But then this week, we heard her. She came out and she talked in an interview where she did talk about the FCT minister, talking about accusing the minister of the Capital Territories making life difficult for residents of Abuja since assuming office. That is what he's saying. And she said that Wike has failed to prioritize the needs of majority of residents. Now, she actually said this when she had an interview, while also acknowledging ongoing construction projects. He argued that most residents do not benefit from the new infrastructure. According to her, the senator, she is saying that yes, he's building roads, but we don't have public transport. So the bulk of Abuja residents do not benefit from the road. And of course, she has questioned the relevance of some of Wike's development priorities, such as the International Conference Center, which of course, someone like myself did have questions regarding to that. And of course, amid the rising insecurity, she's questioning a lot of things. But I think the question I have for Honorable Senator this evening is, Madam Ireti, what are you doing for the people of FC? When you sit in your quiet moment, because the people are complaining, when you sit in your quiet moment, are you actually representing them well? This is a question that I have for the senator. So while you are going head to head, I do not want to delve into the response of the Wike team back to the senator. That is not our focus. Our focus is on the senator and her activities. So I think that is a direct question to her that she has to answer. Let's move away from there and run and say that there were a lot of committees that took place this week, even though there were no sitting at the House of Reps. But let's look at some of the activities that happened at the committee meeting. We also have a committee for the student loan. They were scrutinizing, the student loan because they have been complaining of extortion and the likes. Well, let's look at, let's hear the MD of Nelfon talking during the committee program.
We've received in total, since the commencement of the Nigeria Education Loan Fund, a total of 203 billion naira. That figure is made up as follows. We received 10 billion through appropriation. The rest of the funds have come through various interventions. So we received a total of 143 billion from TET Fund through an intervention by the President instructing that happen.
This House cannot afford to allow the student loan initiative to be undermined by administrative inefficiencies, regulatory gaps, or deliberate abuse of process. We are particularly concerned by the report suggesting that certain institutions and stakeholders may have colluded to delay or conceal disbursements. The credibility of the program and the trust of the Nigerian people in public institutions are both at stake, and we cannot fold our hands and allow this to be swept under the carpet.
All right, so that is the House of Representatives. They've opened the probe into the alleged irregularities and fund diversion in the disbursement of Nigeria's student loan scheme. I think I've had a conversation regarding to the student loan. Of course, we've had the opportunity right here on Rapid TV to talk to the man in charge at the helm of affairs when it comes to student loan. Well, let's see how that goes. I'm definitely sure that there will be answers, and at some point there'll be transparency. Let's now move on very quickly to still in the business of irregularities and diversion of funds, even though this also is being handled. This is about the matter of alleged corruption in NELCO. Let's look at the Reps Committee also is looking into the alleged corruption. Although there are plans that it might just be dismissed, well, let's hear highlights from this particular committee.
And then went to the Honourable Minister, who's the chairman of our board, went to the Federal Executive Council and got the approval of Mr. President for us to purchase the property. So we have our FEC approval, we have BPP approval, we have board approval, and the property has been purchased, sir. So we do now have a permanent office. Thank you, sir.
Since she cannot approve to purchase office by herself. So, and they have given us the documents, all the approvals. So that's in brief explanation on that. So I think on the rent part and the permanent office for them, that is the outcome of our investigation on that. The only thing we can do as Parliament is to request for whether she have followed due process or not. And what is the due process? She cannot approve anything for herself. She have supervising ministry, the FEC is there, and she have given us the documents that gave her the go-ahead for them to purchase a permanent office. And that is what we're able to establish on this.
Madam President, the MD, sorry, was the money appropriated? Yes. And Mr. Chairman, if the money was appropriated, what that means, at some point they brought this thing to us. We approved it. I don't think at this point we should start going back. So if they have brought all this proof, like my honorable member just said now, we have all stayed in a co-hotel. We know what it takes. My only challenge is, if this money was not appropriated and they spent it, that's where we'll have a problem. If it has been appropriated and we approved it, Mr. Chairman, I think we should just move to other things. I mean, that's my submission. Thank you.
Some of us are actually concerned as to the method in which these sittings are, take place. Do they do proper investigations, or you just call the parties involved? Oh, did you do this? Did you not do this? Who gave you authority? Who authorized you to do this? And oh, you were authorized by so-so person, and that ends it, and you're good to go. Just like what Honorable was saying. But then again, this is this was a petition submitted by the APPA accusing NEPCO of financial mismanagement and questions its relevance more than a decade. And the lawmakers say that their claim lacks merit. Have they done their due diligence? Well, I think that as time goes on, we would still get to have a conversation regarding to this and look at the processes that the House committees usually take in, in striking out cases or investigating matters that are brought to them. We really need to look in depth regarding to that. But that will not be a conversation for today, because we actually do have what we're meant to talk about today. But very quickly, let's look at what happened at the Senate this week. We'll just look at the issue of Ponzi scheme. Now, we all know that Ponzi scheme is a big deal in Nigeria, and it has ripped off a lot of Nigerians of their hard-earned money. For some, they've gone into suicide. For some, it has rendered them shattered. And so the Senate did talk about this, set up a committee to launch a probe on CBEC, collabs, and everything regarding to Ponzi scheme. Let's just have a brief of what happened at the Senate chamber on Tuesday.
Disturbed by the growing menace of fraudulent investment platforms, the Senate says the recent CBEC scandal is one of the most devastating in Nigeria's history. Senators Mukal Adetokunbo Abiru and Osita Ezunaso, who sponsored the motion, expressed concern that CBEC operated for months unchecked despite its scale and visibility.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, aware that the economic well-being and financial security of Nigerian citizens are essential pillars of national stability and growth, and that it is the duty of government to protect the populace from exploitative, predatory, and fraudulent financial practices and schemes that threaten their livelihoods. Deeply concerned about the rapid proliferation and alarming rise of unregulated and fraudulent investment schemes, commonly known as Ponzi or pyramid schemes, such as MMM Nigeria in 2016, MBA Forex in 2020, to mention a few, which have repeatedly.
All right, so we already know that's it. We've talked about that within the week right here on our news. If you're following the news, you would definitely see that was a conversation. And so just to give you a highlight of one of the things that happened, we also had a conversation on displaced persons, which I wouldn't want us to delve into because it sort of formed the greater part of our conversation at about a couple of seconds. But we're going a very short break. When I come back, we'll dive into what the conversation for today is about.
Meet the men and women shaping the future of Nigeria. Get to know your representatives at the National Assembly. From lawmaking to constituency projects, we'll take you behind the scenes and inside the chambers of the Nigerian National Assembly. Learn about the bills they are championing, the challenges they are facing, and the impacts they are making in their constituencies. We'll also bring you closer to the people they are serving and the stories that shape their work. Join us on Nass Watch every Friday on Rapid Television at 7 p.m. So get informed, get engaged, and get to know the leaders shaping Nigeria's future.
Rapid TV, rooted in truth, driven by impact.
All right. On Tuesday, I sat down with Honourable Hamza Baba, a member of the 9th Assembly and now the program manager at the. And of course, he brings a wealth of insight into the African Union Convention on the protection of internally displaced persons, commonly known as the Kampala Convention Bill, which of course the Senate finally concurred this Tuesday, and it was a great moment. So I would go right into that conversation right about now, and we'll be definitely right back at the end of it.
So firstly, I want to say that we have more greater news regarding to the bill, and originally it was supposed to be informing people about what's going on, the status of the bill, and the delay. But I think as at a few hours ago, everything became settled.
Yeah.
All right. So I so you have you're more excited right now, Honourable Hamza, regarding to this. But before we start talking about the exciting part of the bill, let's talk about the Kampala bill, because not everyone is familiar with it, and not everyone, and that is why Nass Watch is here, so that we can educate people on some of the bills and follow up on some of the bills, and also let them know the importance of this bill. So let's start with, what is the Kampala Convention Bill about?
Well, you see, we have this issue of IDPs, not only in Nigeria, but in sub-Saharan Africa and all over the world. We have people being displaced forcefully due to conflicts, violence, some due to natural disasters. It's not by choice. If you see an IDP, it's not like he chose to be an IDP. The circumstances that forced him to live where he was born, where he grew up. He or she, the family, everybody would live, and they'll go and settle in some other places. So these IDPs are human beings like me and you, and they are forced by circumstances to leave their ancestral homes and settle somewhere. So you see, we tend to forget. We tend to take these people as maybe second-class citizens, third-class citizens. And over the years, especially in Africa, we notice that, or we realize that the IDPs don't have any kind of human rights. They are not protected. They are not assisted. We don't have, it's not embedded in our laws. Apart from the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants, and IDPs, which is an established agency by Nigeria's constitution. We don't have other laws, international conventions that actually support their own human rights, that makes them to feel that they're humans. So sometimes in I think around 2013 or thereabout, leaders from all parts of Africa gathered in Uganda, in Kampala, and deliberated and actually came up with a convention to protect these IDPs. And this convention is an international convention. It's an African charter for the protection and assistance of the internally displaced persons. So all Kampala Convention is saying is these people should be humanized. As soon as, maybe let's say you become an IDP today, there's an international charter, African charter, that gives you a right to live like a normal human being, to be assisted, not to be stigmatized. And also embedded in the Kampala Convention is a kind of a trust fund. It's a fund that will be used to support the livelihoods of these IDPs. So this Kampala Convention basically is talking about the durable solution. If you know what durable solution is, we're talking about transiting these IDPs from getting handouts of food, to a more sustainable, a kind of a resettlement.
So finding ways to reintegrate them back into the
Yes,
society.
so Kampala Convention is talking about reintegration, it's talking about supporting their livelihoods, it's talking about supporting their dignity in front of the human rights. It's, you know, it protects them. It's a kind of a wholesome, you know, treaty, which Nigeria is a signatory. When it was passed in 2013, Nigeria was a signatory and it was ratified.
If I recall very well, you were still in the House around this time. So while you were in the House, what were the efforts put in to operationalize this bill? Okay,
I can say I'm the originator of, you know, this effort. You know what the efforts we put in the 9th Assembly and also in the 10th Assembly. I've been on this for the last 2 years. In the last Assembly, when I was the Special Advisor to the Speaker on Humanitarian Affairs, first off on IDPs, later on Humanitarian Affairs, we made a very strong effort of actually advocacy, working with some international partners like ICRC, United Nations High Commissioner, Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees in Nigeria, the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and IDPs, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, and even the Ministry of Justice. We made some, you know, good efforts to ensure that it was passed at the House of Representatives and then it was concurred in the Senate. That was, I'm talking about the 9th Assembly. But unfortunately, it was passed towards the end of the administration. So we couldn't get concurrence from the Senate. We couldn't get that concurrence from the Senate, but we did our own part from the House of Representatives. So now, at the beginning of the 10th Assembly, sometimes in 2019, sorry, 2023. Yes. So I personally, under the Office of the Deputy Speaker, I brought it up again, and UNHCR, if I say UNHCR, I mean United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees and ICRC, they met me, they say, Mr. Hamza, we appreciate the efforts you put in the 9th Assembly. We know you did your best, but this bill couldn't be assented by the President, even though it was passed at the Senate and the House, but the President couldn't assent it. So what do we do? I said, okay, fine. I quickly, informed the Deputy Speaker then, and then he actually summoned his advisor on legislative, Dr. Chidozie, and we sat down with these international people, the ICRC, UNHCR, and we sat down and then we say, what's the best way of approaching this bill again? So now, because of the importance of this bill, to support these IDPs, to protect them, we say, okay, let's see how the Deputy Speaker would own the bill. So the Deputy Speaker accepted to read it again, to bring it again onto the floor of the House of Representatives. As the Chairman Committee of the Hall, it was easier for us, since the Deputy Speaker is the Chairman Committee of the Hall. So the whole thing, got a kind of a selected hearing, thanks to the Deputy Speaker, Right Honourable Benjamin Kano. He did very well. We have to give it to him because he was the person who brought it, and then there was a report, and then within a day or two it was read for the first time, then second, within 1 month, 2 months, second reading, and it was passed in the House of Representatives. Unfortunately, it took some time at the Senate, so I don't know the reason, but it was actually delayed in the Senate, but eventually it was passed.
Senator Bamdele did talk about the fact that there were speculations and complaints out in the media that the Senate and the reps were not having a smooth passage in terms of bills. I mean, do you share the same sentiment?
I believe the National Assembly is one body. We're operating a bicameral legislature where we have the House and the Senate. It's either a bill is initiated in the House and concurred by the Senate, or the other way around. And to the best of my knowledge, I know the Senate and the House has been working harmoniously, and there's that peaceful coexistence, and all bills that emanate either from the Senate quickly pass at the House and the vice versa. But I think you know, the Senate, they have their own procedures, which is a bit different from the House of Representatives. I can say that in the House, bills are passed more quickly. They're more proactive in passing the bills and what have you.
What could be the reason for that? Appreciate these bills more than the Senate appreciate these bills, or what could be the reason?
Well, I think the House, you know, the ICRC, the United Nations High Commission of Office for the Refugees, they have actually carried out a lot of enlightenment and sensitization on these bills in the House. I know that there were so many occasions when the honorable members were trained, were sensitized in form of training and workshop and seminars on these Kampala conventions. I'm not sure the same thing had happened in the Senate. So I can authoritatively say that the members of the House of Representatives are more informed about this bill, the importance of Kampala Convention. And again, I want you to understand that, you know, the process of the lawmaking, in most cases, you can say that the House of Representatives are more empowered to make laws than the Senate. I don't know, but if you look at Senate, you can see they are more in the form of appointments, in the form of, you know, clearing people, screening or what have you. But the lawmaking processes, the activities, you know, are more happening at the House of Representatives. That is not demeaning the Senate or saying they are not doing the work, but I'm just saying the reality that for this Kampala Convention, members of the House of Representatives are more informed.
Okay.
Yeah, if you see that in the House of Representatives, they have committees on humanitarian affairs, committees on IDPs, you know, which are not existing in the Senate. So this even make most of the international communities, when they come for the program, they prefer to come to the House and educate more of the members. So I think that's the reason why, because most of the senators are hearing this Kampala Convention for the first time. Maybe they'll say, what is this Kampala Convention? Maybe they don't know the details on what I do. But thank God it has been passed. And looking at the statistics of IDPs in Nigeria, you can say is very alarming.
We're to come to that part, because I think I remember sometime in 2021 or 22 we did have a conversation regarding to IDP situation, and I mean every single time we're having more reasons to have more displaced persons due to natural causes, not just banditry or terrorism alone, natural causes as well. The earth is changing, and so you always have displaced persons. Not only even in Nigeria, it's all over the world. It's happening right now.
Yeah, it's happening. There's climate issue of climate change.
Yes.
There is movement of people. Even if you see people migrating from different parts of northern Nigeria, they're coming to the north central and to the south. And this has brought the issue of competition for scarce resources and then conflict. All these are interwoven, you know, because when people cannot cultivate their land because of, you know, climate change, because of desertification, because of so many other things. So they tend to be moving towards, the same thing with the also Fulani Herders issue, they tend to be moving towards the north central and the south, where the lands are more fertile and there are more intensity of the rainfall and what have you. So all this, you know, will actually add pressure to the resources, and then conflict setting, and then displacement. So they are all interwoven. So you see the numbers of IDPs in Nigeria is increasing daily, even in areas where before we don't have IDPs now. I can tell you that in the 36 states of Nigeria now, we have, in each state we have IDPs. If they are not displaced due to conflicts and violence, they are displaced due to natural disasters. In the north, in the southeast, we carried out need assessment in the year 2023, around end of 2023, beginning of 2024, in 5 states in the southeast. And the figures are very, very alarming. We went to different parts, you see people that have been displaced due to gully erosion, due to, you know, ecological problems, and sometimes a lot of people, you know, as lay people, they just think once you mention IDPs, it's Borno, Yobe, But now I'm telling you, all over the country. And then even with what is happening in Benue State and Plateau now, we're having more displacement.
So now, this brings us to the part where, I mean, part of the responsibilities of our lawmakers is to represent their people, and they definitely have representatives in different parts of the country, and even in those who are displaced as well, you're still representing them. Now, it took this long, from 2013 to 2025, for it to achieve a reasonable level. It is only normal for one to think that our lawmakers are meant to prioritize. If a bill like that would take years, does it show proper representation from our lawmakers?
A lot of people, even in the House of Representatives, they don't actually understand what this Kampala Convention is. But the understanding is more in the House than in the Senate. If you're comparing the two, arms of the two legislatures. The problem with this issue of Kampala Convention is, members, as I have mentioned earlier, they don't really appreciate what this means. To pass this, it means more protection for the people, more assistance to people, but there is that lack of understanding or appreciation of maybe probably the content of this Kampala Convention.
So could it be said that probably they don't value the displaced persons?
No, I don't want to say that, but what I will say is there is insufficient a kind of attention is not adequate, that the attention we're giving to our IDPs in Nigeria is not adequate. It's not only the work of government as the arm of executive to take care of IDPs, the legislative arm has a role to play. When I was in the Ninth Assembly, we were able to conduct need assessment in some federal constituencies. A lot of members used to write requests for food items, requests for this to the Refugee Commission. You understand, because the people have been displaced, and whatever. Now we used to ask these members, of course, you are asking for support from the Refugee Commission, which is constitutionally also mandated to do that. But you people also have constituency projects. Instead of buying maybe all these motorcycles and what have you, you can actually sit down and do something that will promote livelihoods of your people, including displaced persons. So I used to inform a lot of them, but to be fair to some of them, they jointly sponsored a need assessment with the National Refugee Commission. They paid. They are the one that does all the necessary transportation and other support, logistical support for this staff of the Refugee Commission to come to their various constituencies, take numbers of IDP, statistics and what have you. But you see, the problem is when the report is submitted, the refugee commissions are underfunded. They don't have enough money, even in the capital, even in the recurrent, to be able to procure enough foods to distribute, procure non-food items to distribute. And then the most important is not even the food items, but the livelihoods in terms of training and resettling these people. So if you look at the statistics, you know that refugee commissions, they are grossly underfunded. They are not even close to achieving that. So now, coming back to the members, when they take or when they carry this staff of the Refugee Commission to their constituencies to carry out need assessment, a report will be written. So instead for these members to impute budgetary allocations out of their constituency projects to do something for it, they will rely on the government executive to do, which of course I told you is not possible. So surely the members need to do more, need to be proactive in allocating some of their constituency whatever to this issue of IDPs and displaced people. And other.
So while they are drawing up budgets for their constituency project, IDPs should also be included
a priority, of course.
Activities is a new
especially for members that have large number of IDPs, like members from, let's say, Zamfara, Katsina, Benue, Borno, Yobe, and what have you. It's a challenge to them. I'm putting this challenge to them that they should do something for their people, not relying on government, to do everything. And we know that the agency, which is actually constitutionally empowered to do that, they are incapacitated to do that because they don't have enough funds to do that.
So which means more eyes should be on those representing this area.
Yeah, sure. So the passage of this, I think the members need to do more. I can say the activities of this operationalization of this Kampala Convention has just started with the passage of the Senate. So now the president has to assent. So even after the president assent to be gazetted as a law, then the State's House of Assemblies need to also adopt it, because this domestication has to be done also at the state level, because it has to go in tune with your laws, local customs, tradition, and what have you. So the work has just started.
So are we looking at another 5-10 years?
No. I think once it is domesticated at the federal level, the office of the, I think, Secretary to the Government of the Federation will just like write to all the State House of Assemblies. It's just a one-day thing that this thing has been domesticated at the federal level. So please, we just want you to we just say implement it.
Okay.
So during the implementation, maybe they will say, okay, they want to remove this, add this. But maybe, I don't know whether you have a copy of the Kampala Convention? Okay. So it's a very good thing for IDPs. I think today is is a historic day. It marks a kind of a watershed to achieving more things for IDPs. I'm sure the IDPs are celebrating. I'm sure the international communities are celebrating. I'm celebrating also.
In Nigeria, we are always very keen about time frame for this. The Senate has concurred. Where does it move to, and what is like the time? I know this is also a very important subject for you as well, because you do things relating to the IDPs, humanitarian affairs, and the rest of them. So how long are we looking at? Nigerians would definitely want to know what's the timeline for these people start enjoying, the good of the land.
As soon as, the clerk of the National Assembly writes to the president, because there will be a communication. There's a way they communicate. All the bills that have been passed by the two assemblies, the House of Rep and the Senate, the clerk will now sit down and write a report and send it to the president for him to, assent his signature. But before that, I'm sure the president will have to bring it to the notice of the Attorney General of the Federation, and then once that is done, it will be gazetted. It is a law. So I don't think this should take more than 2 months or a month or 2 months. That's what I want. All things being equal, it shouldn't take more than 2-3 months. So I believe Kampala Convention should, start being implemented early next year.
Okay, early next year.
Yeah, that's what I want.
So that means 2025 is out of it?
No, I'm not saying 2025 is out of it. I'm just being realistic, but anything can happen if, the players, the stakeholders, take it to the notice of the president, and the president assent it tomorrow. You can do that. You can even say, President of the Senate, ask the clerk to write to me tomorrow or next tomorrow. So if that is done within this week and the president sign it next week, then we're good to go. Then we can start.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just one of the many bills that are actually beneficial to Nigerians, which, this is just, and when it comes to the IDPs, there are not much bills relating to the IDPs or projects, okay, targeted at the IDPs. There was even a time that we had some conversations with the IDPs, and it felt like, oh, Nigerians don't like them, Nigerian government don't want them, they don't want us. We didn't make ourselves IDPs, but it's so strange, or amazing rather, that it takes this long for us to have something that pays attention to displaced persons, knowing very well that in Nigeria we have displaced persons every month, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
We have displaced due to, if right now we're having insecurity challenges happening in Benue State and some other parts, and people are fleeing from their homes every day. So in a place like Nigeria, where every month we are having displaced persons, yet we are yet to, sign something good for displaced persons.
You mentioned that every day we have IDPs, but we are not meant to have IDPs to live in IDP camps permanently, because you see, these IDP camps are supposed to be a transition, between when there are violence, conflicts, and then when these people leave, they'll come and stay, they are stabilized, they're given some kind of psychosocial, support, and then from there, they're supposed to be, either relocated back to where they came from, resettled back to where they came from, or resettled to a new area where it is more peaceful. That is how it is supposed to be. IDPs are not meant to stay in the camps permanently. We are not meant to have an IDP as a status, a permanent status. It's supposed to be a temporary status, just to transition between when we need this support of protection, the support of assistance,
provision.
To when you move to livelihoods, and then you get your life is normalized, and then you get reintegrated back to the normal societal living. So it's a cycle. So understand. That's why I think in some state governors don't even want to admit that they have IDPs. I remember in some states,
Yes, I do remember that, because I think some time back when we were having a conversation with the IDPs, they did complain that in the FCT, they don't acknowledge that the FCT has IDPs. Meanwhile, we have about 10 IDP camps.
Yeah, you see, there are situations where sometimes we mix up people who are economic migrants from different parts of the country due to some, harsh economic realities the country is passing through because of the reforms, and then with IDPs. You understand? So people tend to migrate due to economic situations.
Okay.
They come to IDPs and settle, and then they'll start calling themselves IDPs. An IDP is somebody who has been forcefully ejected from where he's living, or he leaves because of violence, conflicts, and he can no longer stay because his life is at stake. But people who move because they're just migrant and seasonal people that maybe because of what I had mentioned earlier, the climate issue,
change.
they move, during rainy season they go back to their villages, but during dry season they come back. So all these ones are economic migrants, which their movements are seasonal. So the number tends to increase because of those economic migrants. So when people come and settle, and they call themselves IDPs, so in the real definition of IDPs, they are not IDPs, but they're just relocating, looking for greener pasture, or like they are maybe kind of running away from hunger or starvations. Anyway,
is there any space in this bill to cover all of this set of people, whether economic migrants, or is there any place in the bill, or the bill is just basically, they are also displaced as well due to economic reasons, right?
Yeah, due to economic reasons.
So they are all part of the bill.
Well, an IDP is somebody who has been forcefully, who by circumstances of conflict, violence, or climate change, leaves his own ancestral home and then relocate to another place.
So the question is there any place in the bill that differentiates these ones who are forcefully taken out?
No, I don't think so. They just say IDPs, internally displaced persons. So if somebody is running away from climate change, he's an IDP also.
It's great news, and we are looking forward to full implementation. We're looking forward to full, what's it called now? when it becomes a thing and all the states are key into it, and the IDPs would officially get a good
life. Standard living, the standard of living will be improved. They will have adequate potable drinking water. They will have schools for their children.
Good health.
They will have mental health. The the nutritional aspect. The shelter. All these are part of the durable solution. So this is about the Kampala Convention. This basically what the Kampala Convention is saying. These people should be humanized. We should give them all what a normal human being will need, to live a normal life.
Okay. I would say thank you very much, Honourable Hamza, for having this conversation with us and, of course, shedding more light for those who didn't know what the Kampala Bill was all about. Now they have been, enlightened. Knowing what the bill is about would get lots of Nigerians angry that it took this long for it to receive a concurrence at the Senate.
It's a very critical bill, and I'm happy it has been passed and concurred at the National Assembly. I will call on the President of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Is a person who has the masses at his heart, the downtrodden at his heart. I'm sure he's going to, assent to this bill as soon as possible. I don't think the President, I know, will actually delay the signing of this bill. And I'm also calling on the Attorney General to actually advise and guide the President on this bill. Nigerians really need this Kampala Convention. The IDPs need it. Every single downtrodden, every single person who has an IDP or a relative or a sister, a brother, is looking forward to the assenting of this bill by the President, which I believe it will happen very soon.
Meet the men and women shaping the future of Nigeria. Get to know your representatives at the National Assembly. From lawmaking to constituency projects, we'll take you behind the scenes and inside the chambers of the Nigerian National Assembly. Learn about the bills they are championing, the challenges they are facing, and the impacts they are making in their constituencies. We'll also bring you closer to the people they are serving and the stories that shape their work. Join us on Nass Watch every Friday on Rapid Television at 7 p.m. So get informed, get engaged, and get to know the leaders shaping Nigeria's future.
Rapid TV, rooted in truth, driven by impact.
All right, welcome back. That's it there with Honourable Hamza talking about the Kampala Bill. I'm definitely sure you've gained and learned a lot about the bill. That is where we call it a wrap on these episodes. Now, of course, thank you so much for staying with us from 7 up until now. My name is Cynthia Agbo. Do not forget that Nass Watch comes your way every Friday at 7. And of course, a repeat on Sunday, same time at 7. I will see you next Friday. Do have yourself a pleasant weekend. The news comes up at 8 o'clock.
Meet the men and women shaping the future of Nigeria. Get to know your